Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Explicit here with another awesome video, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to get high rounds extremely easily on Call of the Dead, which at the time of this recording is almost 12 years old, which is crazy to think about. Now, I'm going to give a bit of a brief introduction, so if you're only here for the Easter egg, please skip to the time on screen right now. Keep in mind that the solo and co-op Easter eggs on this map are very different, and in this video I will only be covering the solo Easter egg. So if you're looking for a co-op Easter egg, then you should probably skip this one. And last thing, before we get into the video, literally 0% of my viewers are subscribed, so a subscription would be very appreciated. So Call of the Dead released back all the way in May of 2011 and was the second DLC of Black Ops 1, and to this day is notoriously difficult for achieving high rounds, as after you reach a certain round, it becomes incredibly difficult to clear zombies, as the horde clearing weapons stop one-shotting and there aren't any traps, which means there isn't a real easy way to kill zombies once you reach the higher rounds, and therefore the records on this map are fairly low compared to others. Now, the strategy I'm showing you guys today has the potential to reach very high rounds, and I will try to keep it as absolutely clear and concise as possible. So let's begin the run. So from the moment you begin, you'll be approached by the late great George Romero, who will be one of the greater obstacles during your attempts, but he's fairly easy to avoid as long as you don't shoot him or get too close to him. You can get pretty close to him and kind of squeeze past him with relative ease, and he won't get angry, but if you do, you can either shoot him with the VR11 or bring him to the water. Other than that, you kind of just want to get the map open, and it's up to you whether you want to go toward the boat first, which has power and jug, or the lighthouse, which is where we'll set up for the strategy. I'm going to tell you now that there are two doors that you absolutely do not want to open, those being the door to the base of the lighthouse and this little boat, which leads to the larger ship. Now, I also don't recommend hitting the box till at least round 5, and I personally wouldn't hit it till round 10, especially if you're hoping to get a wonder weapon, as your odds by round 10 are significantly higher of getting either of the wonder weapons than they are at any point before, and you really don't want to waste your points in the early game. Now, I'm going to list out some of the better box rules just so you make sure you don't miss anything important. First is the scavenger. This is actually going to be pretty much required for the run, as it clears hordes for a very long time and is very efficient. Next is the VR11, which is also going to be required, mostly just because it's necessary for a step of the Easter egg. Next is the crossbow, and I'd recommend picking this up as your mule kick weapon. It's pretty useless at first, but once it's packed, it works the same as a monkey bomb, where it attracts the zombies and will be very useful in the later rounds. For your second weapon, it's important to have something for the early rounds that will clear zombies and has a fair amount of ammo. My personal two picks for these are the HK21 and the ray gun, both of which will likely carry you through up until about round 20, but after that they both become kind of useless. And just as a quick mention, even though this is a solo guide, I figured it would be important to point out that the ballistic knives, when packed, can revive players by shooting them. This is useless in solo, however, as far as I know, and otherwise I'd strongly recommend getting rid of them. Now that you have your weapons, I'll show you the basic strategy, which is just training zombies around this area, which can be a little complex, but is mostly just about reacting to where the zombies are coming from and training them around until you're ready to kill them. Now that you're set up with the area, you're gonna farm points around here until you get enough to hit the box, until you get the VR11, which will be used for the Easter egg. And if you have any points remaining, buy perks. I recommend quick revive the most, as it will literally save your life when you down. However, it's important that you know it's incredibly tough to get back on your feet after a down due to the layout of the map. Of course, I also highly recommend jug. Without it, you'll die in 2 hits, and it can help you get out of sticky situations. And last but not least, it is almost vital that you have PhD, because both the ray gun and scavenger will completely annihilate your health if you go anywhere near them, and PhD will completely negate those effects, also allowing you to avoid any fall damage. For your last of the 4 main perks, I'm going to recommend Mule Kick for carrying an extra weapon like the crossbow or VR11, but if you want, you can go with Stamina Up or Speed Cola. Do not waste your perk slot on Deadshot or Double Tap. They aren't very good, especially in Black Ops 1. Okay, now we're onto the Easter egg, which will be very, very useful for the high rounds, as it will reward you with a Wonder Waff, which will last until you run out of ammo and will also one-shot the zombies. And after that point, every time you kill George, he will drop another Wonder Waff, so on and so forth until you die. So to begin the Easter egg, you're going to come over to this metal door right here, and you can knife it to queue up some dialogue. You can listen to it on your own just because I want to quickly get through this. And now you need to find the fuse, which can be upstairs on either these two desks or next to this cabinet. If you have to, just go and interact with each one till you find the fuse, and go back down to the door and insert it into this panel. After that's complete, you will have to blow up these glowing red orb deals with grenades or the scavenger. If you want to make it easier, use Semtexes, which can be found on the top of the boat here. The locations of the red orbs are here, 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 and here. After that's complete, go ahead and head back to the door and knife it. There will be more dialogue, which you don't have to listen to, and head to the top of the boat where you opened up power. You'll see a ship steering wheel. Spin it twice by interacting with it, then go to these three levers. Pull the one on the left once, and then pull the one on the right 3 times. A couple seconds later, a green light will be pointing at the lighthouse, and by this point, you'll need the VR11. Now take any zombie to the bottom of the lighthouse and shoot it with the VR11, and after that, it will turn into a human and run into the light, then start floating upwards. You're going to have to shoot him as he's flying up until he enters a down state, in which you have reached success. After he reaches the top, go back to the bottom of the lighthouse and find the golden rod. Pick it up and take it back to the door and insert it in this tube right here, and then wait until the fuse starts spazzing out and then knife it. Now you have completed the Easter egg, and your reward will be in front of the door. Quick disclaimer, if you have the Wonder Waff and pick up another death machine off the ground, it will replace your Wonder Waff with a regular 30-second death machine, which could be potentially detrimental in the later rounds. And before we reach the full conclusion, I should note that the location of the Pack-a-Punch depends on where the lighthouse is shining still. If the lighthouse is moving, then that means there is no Pack-a-Punch on the map. And it's also important to mention that the Pack-a-Punch cannot move while your weapon is in it, so don't worry about using it right before it moves. Alright, so now you're pretty much set up. You have perks, packed weapons, and the opportunity to get Wonder Waffs. So now I'm going to discuss some minor tips in reaching high rounds. So when you're training here, in order to conserve ammo by both clearing the horde and damaging George, I like to keep George closer to this side and then shoot him with the scavenger, and while he's angry, run him into the water over here. This can be risky, however, as hordes can spawn rather quickly and close in fast. However, there is a safer way to accomplish this. However, you will need either the Awful Lawton, the Pack-a-Punch crossbow, or the VR11, which we discussed earlier. If you have the Awful Lawton, I recommend after shooting George with the scavenger that you bring George to the water and then equip it in case the zombies spawn in a little too quickly, in which case you can shoot the crossbow and they'll be distracted, which will give you an opportunity to cool George off. Finally, if you have the VR11, after the scavenger blows up and George is angry, shooting him with the VR11 will instantly calm him down before the horde can arrive. Well guys, that has been my beginner's guide to reaching high rounds on Call of the Dead. I know that these strategies are kind of old and that there are better ones, but this is the simplest way I've been able to find to reach high rounds, but it was still really fun to make this video. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, and perhaps I will make more of these videos in the future. The next video I might make will probably be a guide to hidden mechanics in Black Ops 1 Zombies, but if you guys have anything else you want to see, make sure to leave a comment, and other than that, thanks.